Yes, welcome to the Biz Communication Show. I'm your host, Bill Lampton. Every week, bringing you a top business professional who can share communication tips and strategies that will benefit your business. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Kevin Williams. Kevin identifies himself this way on LinkedIn: executive manager with years of experience changing, motivating, and building successful teams. Exceeding profit and sales objectives has always been a key objective that has been surpassed. Hey, that's pretty terrific, isn't it? He's had vast international experience, ranging from Argentina to Japan, Mexico, Latin America, Germany, and other countries. He's managed over 290 employees, and he's managed a $50 million sales budget. And so now we're happy to welcome Kevin Williams, who is with Keller Williams Realty. That's pretty easy to remember. Kevin Williams at Keller Williams.
Well,
Hello,
thank you,
Kevin.
Bill. Yeah, it's awesome to be here, and I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be a part of this program today.
I'm happy to have you with us. I think I would go back to sort of the start of your career. You've had an exceptionally strong sales career. What is it initially that attracted you to sales?
Well, I started working when I was 15 in a wholesale photo finishing lab, working with Eastman Kodak people who were very professional. It was the #1 brand in the world at the time. And I just loved watching them work. I saw them taking people to lunches, to dinners, playing golf, and thought that was that was all there was to it. And a lot of times I saw myself doing their jobs while they told me what to do. So it was the intrigue really of, what's behind that curtain kind of thing. And I quickly found out by joining Eastman Kodak, and it's been an awesome path, and I've really enjoyed it. And you can tell from what you read off on my profile that it's opened up doors for me that have been beyond my wildest dreams. So I've had a great time doing it, had some great mentors in that business, and had great examples by working with Kodak when they were the #1 brand.
I would certainly underscore the value of mentors and examples. The person who tries to go it alone, I think I've heard this statement: if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far,
Yeah,
go with others. And you and I know that's the case.
absolutely.
As you know, Kevin, presentation skills is a part of my repertoire. It's what I do in helping executives communicate more effectively. And I noticed, of course, that in your training with salespeople, that you included presentation skills training. Two questions here. Number one, why did you consider that essential, and what were your methods in training your salespeople to be more effective presenters?
Well, one of the things, working for Kodak, they put all their time and effort into making sure you were in the streets looking really good for them. And my original training was 3 months in Rochester, New York. It was living with other people in my class, and they drilled into us for 3 straight months how to work with others, how to live with others. There'd be 2 of us in an apartment. They took us to training classes where they tested us. They made sure we had product knowledge. They made sure that we worked on presentation skills, and they just drilled into us, throughout the class. And they also had road trips where we would go out and we were evaluated. At the end of the program, we had to present our road trips with upper management, and we were evaluated on that before we were released into the field. So that's the way I was just brought up. And, back during those days, training was very, very important to the larger companies or big budgets for training. And as I moved beyond Kodak, I realized that some of the other companies and the employees that I were working with and the sales group, they come from diverse backgrounds. And in the photo business years ago, it was like printing money. And as the years transitioned, and everyone knows people were taking pictures, that business started declining. Upon my own knowledge of what I had limited budgets or no budgets for any kind of training, but I felt that it was imperative that our people knew exactly how to present in front of a group, and also to present one-on-one. And so we would take a lot of those benefits I had from my days of going through training, and we would bring them into a room, and we would allow, the salespeople to stand up, present, and then we'd critique, and we would work with them one-on-one. A lot of that, I would have to say, was grassroots efforts, if you will. So I would actually travel. I had VPs under me, but I would travel with my VPs and my salespeople, and we would do it that way as well. So it was both in classroom and also in the streets, which, and quite honestly, in the streets, you can learn more. You can, it's not beat 'em up time, but it was more of, let me encourage you, help you do better, because my reps are doing better. My VP was going to do better, and I was going to do better. So it was a win-win in education. Whether a company's paying for it or you're paying for it, it's something, that you need to be doing. And I valued that more than anything else. And I tried to instill that in my people. So if I didn't have the budget, you needed something, you might want to look at doing that yourself, because that is just key to anybody's success.
I've heard someone say repeatedly, a business leader that I've had some association with, if you think education is important, you need to realize that if you think education is expensive, you need to realize that ignorance is much more expensive.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Looking at your truly vast international experience, it fascinates me. And I think it fascinates our listeners and viewers. One of the points that I would ask is, give us some illustrations, please, Kevin, of how you, in traveling to different companies, had to make definite adjustments in your communication style and habits to communicate effectively with prospects and colleagues and even strangers that you met. Give us a couple of examples, please.
This is one of the things that really impacted me in a big way. I'm a Georgia boy that wound up in New York on 2 different occasions. So the slow speech in the South turned into fast speech in the North that had to slow down considerably as I went international. And one of the things you have to understand about international experience is there's so many different cultures, there's so many different ways to offend people, and sometimes it's very difficult to find out exactly who is in charge in the room when they come in. So the book Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands became one of my best friends through that process. And I would make sure that I understood when I was going into a different country that I knew exactly how to analyze that and to approach it. For me personally, I'm a guy that's, I see an issue, I want to fix it, I want to move on to the next and continue on. Well, when you deal with other cultures, that is not always the process. And especially when I was president in Mexico, they do business a little different. It's let's go have lunch. And lunch does not mean a typical 1-hour lunch and we're going to evaluate and get things done in that hour. It could be 2 hours, it could be 3 hours, and it's all about building relationships. Yet when I would go to Germany, it was, okay, let's roll up the sleeves, let's get it done, and let's move on. And so, the different countries, different attitudes, different business acumen, those kind of things would come to the table. And you have to be very patient, analyze the situation, and utilize your local resources as well if you have them. And if not, you just better be on your P's and Q's. Long dinners, I've sat on floors for hours in some countries, 21 course meals, just trying to understand when was the meal going to end. But it was just a great experience for me, especially relates to the food, because I tried stuff that I never would have tried before. So very educational, very enlightening. No matter where you go in the world, people are the same. We still have feelings. We still have emotions. We still do business ultimately the same way. And a lot of it's tied to relationships. So you better be able to cross the borders as it relates to that.
In all of my communication training that I provided, whether I was teaching at the University of Georgia or I'm working with an individual client or I'm working with a corporate client, one of the places that you always start in teaching communication is audience analysis. And audience analysis is important whether you're going to be meeting with one person one-on-one or a small group, you're going to be speaking to 500 people, or you're traveling to another country. One size doesn't fit all, does it, Kevin?
That's correct. That is really a true statement.
Now, in your sales career, there's no doubt, particularly with the large responsibilities you had in training other sales leaders, one of the challenges every salesperson has is what happens when slumps come along. How is it you keep your morale high? Oh, sure, it's easy to keep your morale high when you've made a huge sale or you've closed a wonderful contract. It doesn't happen every day. What about those other days in between? What have been your methods, and maybe still are your methods, in keeping your morale high, your motivation high?
Well, that's an awesome question, because anybody who's ever been in sales understands it is a roller coaster ride. You have highs and you have lows. And when you're in the lows, it's probably a good time to reevaluate everything you do. And hanging around with positive individuals is key to pulling you out of the slump and motivating you to go farther. You can hang around negative people and they will take you down. So if you really want to boost yourself back up, you need to find people that are probably doing better than you and hang out with them, and ones that are positive anyway, because we all need positive things in our life. And if you're really, really, really at the bottom, you just don't know what to do and you can't network with those kind of people, and you want to pick your morale up, go find somebody that's less fortunate than you and pick them up. And through that process of finding others, reevaluating everything you do, from your schedules to who you hang out with to the influence of those people around you, you can pick yourself back up. Sometimes it's a difficult process, but that's when you need others in your life. And if it really, really gets difficult, share with others, pick somebody else up, and lo and behold, you'll come out of it, no doubt.
I like your combination there. Number one, get with top people who are succeeding, because their energy and their optimism will flow to you. And number two, look at other people who are way, way down, and you'll recognize how good you have it. And sure, you may not know where the dollar's coming from tomorrow, but the people who you turn to help, they don't know where a dollar's coming from anytime. I like that combination. Kevin, I noticed that one of the things about your sales management was that nobody could accuse you of micromanagement. In fact, from what I could read, you always gave your sales people the information and the training they needed, but you also, it seems to me, allowed for individual variation. Talk to us a minute about letting people do what works best for them and for the corporation.
Well, thank you for that question. One of the things that you really need in any sales organization is people you can trust. And if you don't have the trust factor, it's very hard to let go of certain things and not micromanage. I was very fortunate to have people on my team that I could trust. And with that, the photo industry when I was there was a declining industry and was very, very competitive for what business was out there. And one of the things I needed to do was to give a range for my sales reps to close business on site without having to call their vice president or vice president to call me. So we set up a structure to allow them to do what needed to be done on site while they were with the customer, without a fear of the big stick coming after them once they close a deal. And if they exceeded outside those parameters, it would escalate to a VP. And if it was a large deal, then it would come across my desk, because that's just the way that we needed to manage the business. But, if your reps can trust you and you can trust them, it opens up doors to really get business moving, have that trust factor of, the sales rep with your client. And it takes away that, let me go talk to my finance manager. Let me go get my manager in here. If you're buying a car, if you've ever lived through that operation before,
oh, yes.
I call it an operation because I feel like I've been cut open. And, but I just believe you need to be able to trust your reps and to be able to move the business forward within certain parameters. And I found that to be most successful for my organization.
You remind me very much of the the Ritz-Carlton philosophy of empowerment. You empower your people, you trust them,
Yes.
you give them the resources they need, and you give them leeway to operate the way they can do that most effectively. Kevin, you are an incredibly accomplished leader, and now you've switched to real estate. Give us your contact information, please, because I know those who have viewed and listened to our program would like an opportunity to get in touch with you.
Sure. My cell phone number is 770-822-6586. My email address is jkevin@kw.com. My website is jkevin.kw.com. And on Facebook, I am at jkevinkw.
All right, and thank you for that. And since you've given your contact information, I'm glad to give mine, Biz Communication Guy. So logically, my website is B-I-Z, bizcommunicationguy.com. I invite you to go there, sign up for my online newsletter, and you'll find my contact information and phone number there as well. Kevin, again, we really appreciate your having been with us today. We know that you have a busy schedule, and as you have excelled with other companies, I'm certain that Kevin Williams is going to be a star at Keller Williams. Any closing comments or information for us?
You're an awesome host, first of all. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. One of the things I'd really like to suggest, and it's an awesome app, I joined Keller Williams because it's a #1 brand as well, and it's high-end technology. So we have an app that allows people to view real estate anywhere in the United States. I would love to share that with them. And again, they can reach out to me by text at 770-822-6586. I'd be happy to share that with them. And then they too can just play around with real estate whenever they want. To get serious, they can contact me also through that app. So thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been an honor, and wish you much success.
Thank you, Kevin. And a few months down the road, we'll check back with you and host you here again on the Biz Communications Show. Thanks again to those of you who have joined us for this very informative, enlightening program with information that we know will help your business. Be with us again next week for another edition of the Biz Communications Show. Thanks again. I'm your host, Bill Lampton.